Detroit Lions fans, Detroit Den 313 back with another one. Before we get going, you know what to do. We're getting so close to that 10K where we're going to go crazy and do a crazy giveaway. If you missed the first one, you're going to want to be a part of that one. So hit that subscribe button. I think we got about 200 more to get. It's right around the corner. But Steve, today I think could end up being a controversial one. I know a lot of people have very, very, very uh, intense emotions on this topic. So set the table. Let the people know what the heck we talking about.
Well, I think the first thing is I think that during the combine with interviews, a name popped up that the Detroit Lions had an interview with Jalen Milroe, the quarterback out of Alabama, and that kind of sparked you and me having some conversations off camera, thinking when would be the best time to talk about it, when we'd have some free time to get the topic out there. Today's the day. Today's we're going to talk about Jalen Milroe, Hendon Hooker, what's the options for backup quarterback. So I guess I don't know where you want to start. Well, I guess we'll how do you feel about Jalen Milroe as a quarterback? And do you think that it's intriguing? And why do you think that the Detroit Lions interviewed him out of all the people that they could have chose?
He's a freak athlete. That's how I feel about him as a quarterback. He's a freak athlete. Outside of that, his footwork sucks. I don't like his throwing motion. I don't think he anticipates throws. I don't like his pocket awareness. I don't like how he chews gum. I don't like how he ties his shoes. I'm not like I do like that he's got some connections with the Detroit Lions, but for me, this is less about Jalen Milroe and more about the Detroit Lions. But while we're on the subject, how you feel about him?
I don't think I've ever agreed with you more in my life because I hate Jalen Milroe as a prospect. Or I don't think he's going to do well in the NFL. Everything you just said, but I could just say this. I think he's one of the worst decision-making quarterbacks in college football that I've ever seen. All right, this guy, and if you need to look any further, all I ask you to do is go watch the first half of his bowl game against Michigan where he turned the ball over. What was it, like 6 straight times? 6 straight possessions, is 6 straight turnovers, or it was something like that. It might have been 4, but still 4 is a crazy number to touch the ball 4 times and have 4 turnovers, fumbles, interceptions. He does not take care of the football. That's the most important job for a quarterback. You take care of the football, you make a smart play. If it's not, sometimes the smart play is throwing it out of bounds or at your receiver's feet, something like that. I don't see him doing any of that. I get very frustrated when I see quarterbacks go to the combine and that they can throw a ball 60 yards and everyone's talking about how they had a great combine and a great workout. There's no defense. You're throwing to a guy who's not covered. You're a college quarterback. I would expect you to be able to throw a football 60 yards and hit someone wide open. So I'm not that impressed. Okay. And we can bring up like the Zach Wilson talk when he rolled to his left and threw to his right. That got him drafted in the top 5. Don't know how. And I see the same type of stuff with Jalen Milroe. Freak athlete. Yeah, he can run. He's a big kid. He's got a cannon of an arm. Can't read the defense. Can't throw guys open. Can't fit the ball into small windows. Turns it over a lot. Hard pass. So I was very intrigued as to why the Detroit Lions are even looking at him, Will.
Yeah. So, guys, if you're still here and you haven't thought that, hey, I know what's going on, I guarantee you don't know where this is going. So stick around. I think this is going to get juicy. But Detroit Lions, man, why the heck are they interviewing Jalen Milroe? I got the answers, and at least I think I got the answers. You guys drop it in the comments. You know, I'm all about it. Tell me I'm dead wrong. Tell me I'm an idiot, because I'm sure there's probably people already typing that didn't even make this far telling me that I'm an idiot because of what I said about Jalen Milroe. But I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit because all those things that I said, I stand on them and I meant them. But here's the problem. For all you Jared Goff lovers, me included, I'm not going to say I'm a Jared Goff lover. I tell you guys all the time, I'm in strong like with Jared Goff. Like, I'm not gonna get married to you and live happily ever after infinity, right? But you can be my long-term girlfriend for sure. Like we can be together. We can do some years together. Like you'll probably be that girl that got away that I always remember, right? But at some point you're gonna leave, and I'm going to meet somebody better. Hopefully, that's the game plan. So
Maybe you don't. That's another risk. Well, are we still talking football or
no,
relationship?
no, it's not a risk, because if it's not right, it's not right. And there's better quarterbacks out there in the world. And by that, I don't mean it in an offensive way. I mean it in this way. There's better quarterbacks out there in the world than 35-year-old Jared Goff. I'm not talking about Jared Goff right now, but there's definitely, and there's a couple quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. There's guys, right? There's a couple quarterbacks that's better than Jared Goff right now, but there's going to be a whole lot of quarterbacks that's better than 35-year-old Jared Goff. So why am I saying that? I'm saying that because of this. Jared Goff is a starting quarterback for the Detroit Lions for the next 3 seasons at a minimum, 4 seasons probably, right? Next 3 seasons at a minimum. He's not an unrestricted free agent until 2029 after his contract extension. We have an option to get the heck out of that contract in 2028. So that means for the 2025 season, 2026 season, and 2027 season, at a minimum, Jared Goff is our quarterback. If he's still playing that good football, then it's going to be the 2028 season too. So that's going to take Jared Goff to 34 years old and some change. I think about 4 months. He's going to be pushing on that way for the next following season. Yeah, he'll be pushing that 35 number. All right. So back to the business at hand. Why am I talking about Hendon Hooker? Because Hendon Hooker is probably leaving town, folks. I know you don't want to hear that. I know we got Hendon Hooker fans. I know people are standing on the Lions are developing him, but I'm going to tell you why that doesn't make sense to me. And maybe I'm an idiot, but let's talk about it. We have Hendon Hooker until 2027. We have Jared Goff until 2029. We have Hendon Hooker until 2027. Do you think that Hendon Hooker is going to be okay? Let's start with that part. Hendon Hooker is going to be okay with staying a Detroit Lion, backing up Jared Goff until he's 29 years old. If Jared Goff stays here the whole time, Hendon Hooker will be 29 and some change, ascending to 30.
And most likely probably never playing in the NFL during those years, hopefully.
That's what I'm saying. So ascending to 30, has never been a starter in the NFL, has never got an opportunity, just getting his feet wet at 30 years old. I don't think that that's responsible for Hendon Hooker as a player, as a competitor. And I'm going to tell you this. If you're down to sit back and not protest that, right, not fight that, not ask for release papers, not ask to be traded, then you ain't my quarterback anyways, because you ain't a competitor. You don't believe in yourself. Right? So I would imagine even Hendon Hooker at this point is like, hey, guys, I appreciate everything you guys are doing for me, but I would love to get an opportunity to play for somebody. So just on that alone, I think that Hendon Hooker is on his way out of town. Now, Brad Holmes, what makes business sense? We spent pick 68, I believe, on Hendon Hooker, right? Why would it make sense for Brad to just let him sit behind Jared Goff, let him walk for free, and not get anything for him when there's all of these teams that need quarterbacks right now or have quarterback issues? I counted 10, and really 6 to 7 that are really in a situation. So somebody's going to be the odd person out. Guarantee it. And there's paths there. When I was talking about before, I think there's a path where we can get at least 3 guys in the top 100, maybe 4. This is part of that path. Draft day, Hendon Hooker getting dealt somewhere for nothing less than, I would say, a top 100 pick, right? A top 100 pick. So when I think about that, I think about this, Steve. If Hendon Hooker was in this year's draft, he's probably the best quarterback in the draft. I think you can have a conversation maybe about Cam Ward, boom or bust. Like if Cam Ward actually hits his boom, right, maybe he could be better. But they easily could have a conversation about him being the top quarterback in this draft if he was in this draft and healthy right now. All right, so, man, what is that pick worth? Is that worth the pick in the top 100 picks? I would say so, especially if your other option is some Zach Wilson or Tyrod Taylor or, and you got nothing else behind it, So when I think about this situation, Hendon Hooker is stuck in a rock and a hard place to where he has no path to start for the Detroit Lions right now. He is fighting the age battle of trying not to be 30 when he gets his first NFL opportunity. I think it just makes sense for the Detroit Lions to make a move. So if you make a move, you got to have a plan B, right, to go along with that. I said all the things about Jalen Milroe I didn't like. One thing that I really like is him and his athleticism, his cannon arm, and his opportunity to sit behind Jared Goff for 4 seasons. Sit behind Jared Goff and try to figure out this game for 4 seasons. Learn footwork, learn a throwing motion, learn how to read defenses, learn how to be a pro's pro. Right now, Jalen Milroe is 22 years old. That means after these 4 years, he will be 26 years old, younger than Hendon Hooker, when he would be potentially getting an opportunity to try to do this thing. Why is it still cool? Because over those 4 years, if you see 2 years in, he's not the guy, you just bring somebody else in. But what you can't teach is Jalen Milroe's athleticism, his physical talents that God gave him. Can't teach that. I can teach you how to change your throwing motion. I can teach you how to read a defense. I can teach you how to anticipate throws. Right? That's a thing that there's a potential to learn. Am I saying that 100% it will happen? No, there is no 100%. But I'll tell you this. When the Philadelphia Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts, Eagles fans were booing. They were breaking TVs. They were shattering remotes. They were freaking out. But it was a perfect plan because you need to get quarterbacks in the building so you're prepared when it's time to give the keys to the Ferrari to somebody else. I don't know that it's Jalen Milroe, but I think Jalen Milroe makes sense, and that's why he got interviewed, because he's 22 years old, and the Detroit Lions, in their mind, are set at quarterback for probably the next 4 seasons. And 4 seasons for a guy to get ready is ample time for most folks. Steve, am I hitting? Is it making sense? Or have I lost my mind?
I can't get behind Jalen Milroe. I don't care how old he is. If I have 4 years to find a replacement for Jared Goff, I'll see what those roads look like 4 years from now, 3 years from now, 2 years from now. I just don't like Jalen Milroe as the Detroit Lions backup quarterback. I just don't. I don't think sitting for 4 years is going to help you learn all the things you need to do from the sidelines. I think you need to get in the game and actually practice it. That's just my opinion. Sitting there with the clipboard and doing practices and game film, I don't think is going to improve his decision making. I think it might make him smarter. He might know what he's doing, but can he take that and translate it to a football field? I don't know. 4 years to sit. I would rather spend the next couple drafts trying to find a replacement. If that's what I like, the path, I like where we're headed. I like what we're talking about, because it does make sense for Hendon Hooker to move on and go try to start somewhere else, because he's not getting on the football field in Detroit unless one of two things happens. One of them is a Jared Goff injury. The second one is Jared Goff just starts playing like absolute dog shit and the coaches have to make a change. And let's hope that we don't get to that one. So when we say that Hendon Hooker would probably be the number one pick in this draft class, it's not because Hendon Hooker is so great. I think it's because this draft class is just absolutely dog shit when it comes to quarterbacks. He probably would be the number one quarterback. Can we get a top 100 pick for him? I don't know. As a fan, I like to say yes. And I understand that the position of the quarterback has the most value on a football team. But when I watch Deebo Samuel get traded for a 5th-round pick, I can't say that Hendon Hooker is going to get traded for more than that, because he's completely unproven in the NFL. Has not taken a snap in a football game during the regular season at all. And the fact that the Detroit Lions brought in Teddy Bridgewater over Hendon Hooker, I think is another thing that we've talked about before. But I don't know if the Lions trust Hendon. I don't know what they want to do. I know Jared Goff's our guy, and we just want to roll him out there and hope that everything's going to be okay, and we don't even have to have a conversation about the backup quarterback anymore. But 4 years with Milroe, my best case scenario would be I have to sit there and hope to God that I never have to see him on a football field, Will.
I get it. I got a couple of things that I want to contest, though. As far as understanding what Jalen Milroe will be or won't be, there's no way we can know. But I think that it just makes sense. And where you hit home runs by swinging for the fences, man. You got to gamble to win the lottery. And it would be gambling on somebody who has supreme upside. It's boom or bust. But what are you losing? You got to take those opportunities when and it really doesn't mean nothing. We were a winning team wasting a pick on Hendon Hooker, so to speak, right? So it's not a matter of if he will or if he won't. It's is there the potential for him to be something special, and the potential to be something special is there. People hammer me about my AR-15 take as far as his athleticism, but if you go back and you look at what I said about AR-15, I said he was a freak athlete who would be phenomenal if he got the opportunity to go somewhere and sit behind an elite quarterback. If he had an opportunity to go sit behind a Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or somebody like that. I also said if you thrust him into the spotlight, he's going to struggle. Jalen Milroe is going to struggle if you thrust him in as a starting quarterback. He's going to look like the Desmond Ritters and whoever else. You know what I mean? These guys that came into the league, next thing you know, they're starters and they're not ready. Everybody in the world knows he's not ready. But how can he get ready? He can get ready by sitting behind an elite starter who knows what the heck that they're doing. I completely disagree when I say practicing at the NFL level, watching a pros pro, no different than Brett Favre had Aaron Rodgers watching him, and then Jordan Love after watching Aaron Rodgers, who Jordan Love, he struggled, but he did some darn good things too. Diced up the Lions on my Thanksgiving, ruined my Thanksgiving, right? This is a guy who in college threw 17 interceptions his senior year. 17 interceptions Jordan Love did, but and then came into the league and has had success. There's plenty of guys. Taysom Hill has shown that he can move the football in the NFL. You're going to tell me Jalen Milroe won't be able to move the ball if he gets 2, 3, 4 years to prepare and learn how to be a quarterback? I just disagree. But I'm also not saying that it has to be Jalen Milroe. Maybe it's Jackson Dart. Maybe we go get a guy like Trey Lance. What I'm saying, it has to be somebody because Hendon Hooker has to be on his way out of town. Now, speaking to the Hendon Hooker situation and why do I believe we can get a top 100 pick for him? I believe we can get a top 100 pick because somebody was willing to draft him in the top 100, as the Detroit Lions were. Somebody will probably be willing to draft Jackson Dart, Quinn Ewers, like Will Howard, right? So then you're getting down to what makes more sense: draft one of these guys who I don't think is better than Hendon Hooker, or trade this pick and go get Hendon Hooker, right? Who's been sitting behind Jared Goff, who has been in an offense with a wizard, as some say, when they're talking about the Chicago Bears coach, learning the last 2 seasons, learning the game, preparing himself. He already know he's not going to be learning what it's like to go on a road trip. He's not going to be learning what it's like to prepare during an off season. He's not going to be learning what the NFL playbook is like and how fast the NFL game is and what the checks are like, or whatever. He already knows all that stuff. These rookies, they're going to be learning everything. They're going to be bright-eyed. They're going to be trying to figure it out. They're going to be starting from scratch. That's not what you're going to get out of Hendon Hooker. When I look at this list, man, I think about who could be making the move, man. Who could be making the move for something like this? New York Giants have pick 65. The Cleveland Browns have pick 67. The Raiders have pick 68. The Saints have pick 71. Colts have pick 80. And if you're asking why am I saying the Colts, because AR-15 is tapping out, right? That Flacco's gone, right? Joe Flacco's gone. They need a backup plan out there with the Colts. It was rumored that the Seattle Seahawks might be interested. They got pick 82, need a backup for Geno and maybe somebody to take over for Geno if they move on for him. The Pittsburgh Steelers have pick 83. And then I was looking at all of the draft day trades that Brad Holmes has done since he's been in Detroit. And I thought about the Tennessee Titans too. Tennessee Titans have picked 35. They're picking number 1 and they're picking 35 as it stands right now. They're a team that I could see maybe they do something like give us pick 35. We give them pick 60 and Hendon Hooker in return for pick 35 and pick 119. Because they still got pick like 102. So they would be drafting 160, 102. They still got picks. So now I'm going to go get Abdul Carter. Then I'm going to bring in Hendon Hooker to compete with Will Levis. And then I still got another pick to go out there and try to get another piece to add to the puzzle. So there's plenty of teams. all of these teams aren't going to figure out their quarterback situation. And there was a few teams that I didn't name because they're probably going to draft Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. But everybody else is going to be left trying to figure out what this situation is. How are they going to make sense of it? The Detroit Lions can get something of high value in a draft that's deep, that we've already talked about trading back. If they can get a top 100 pick, right? And we're going to already say that they have 3 top 100 picks. I know that their final pick is 101, not their final pick, but they have pick 101. I'm going to call that a top 100 pick. All right. So if you're picking at pick 28, you're picking at pick 60, you're getting an additional pick somewhere in this draft. And then you're going to also pick a pick in the top 100 with Hendon Hooker. And there's an opportunity that we might trade back and get another pick in the top 100. I mean, there's paths. I don't foresee a way that Hendon Hooker is a Detroit Lions or is on the Detroit Lions after this. Has nothing to do with Hendon Hooker. I actually believe Hendon Hooker can go somewhere and be successful. I still believe that Hendon Hooker has some game, man. Now, can he be accurate with the football? That remains to be seen. But if he can, this is a dude who can play some doggone football. I don't look at him and say that Jordan Love's got any different tools than Hendon Hooker has. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that there's a path where Hendon Hooker can go and help one of these teams out. Why not take a shot on him, man? If I'm one of them GMs, it only takes one to be down for the cause, man. And then the Detroit Lions. Next thing you know, we got 4 picks in the top 100, man, and we're getting all of these dudes that we've been podcasting about.
Now, let me ask you this: reverse the role. You're trying to do. Would you trade one of Detroit's top 100 picks for a quarterback who's never played in the NFL?
If I needed a quarterback, you're damn right I would.
With a draft this deep on defense, you would give up pick 101 to go trade for Hendon Hooker if you're the Detroit Lions and the roles were reversed and he was on another team. I wouldn't give up.
If I needed a quarterback, you can't win without a quarterback in this league. No team is doing that. You're not winning without a quarterback.
So but there's no proof that I'm winning with Hendon Hooker. There's none. There's no proof.
There is proof that you're not winning without a quarterback, though, is what I'm saying. So if I'm the New York Jets, I got to get somebody. So I got to figure out who's it going to be.
Kirk Cousins.
Okay. Your problem solved. Now we got to deal with the other 10 teams that need quarterbacks. This is
Justin
what I'm saying.
Fields is still out there.
Is Justin Fields the guy?
I would take Justin Fields over Hendon Hooker right now.
That's fair.
Sam Darnold's still out there. It has to make sense for every. It has to make sense for both teams. We can't just say that, the Detroit Lions need to do this because it benefits them. The only team I think it makes sense for is maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers, because they're probably an organization who scouts very well. They're probably in the boat to where I don't know. Did they make the playoffs last year? If not, they were real close. They're right on the fringe of making the playoffs. So they're right there. And they got there with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson somehow. I don't know. I would say maybe, I think you said they had picked like 87 or something like that. Maybe
83.
Maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers.
It wouldn't make sense for them to trade pick 82 for a backup for Geno Smith and something they've already talked about. They've already said they're interested in. It wouldn't make sense for the Saints, who were starting Spencer Rattler. It wouldn't make sense for the Raiders, who were starting URI. It wouldn't make sense for the Cleveland Browns, who's got to worry about their quarterback getting tuggies. Like it wouldn't make sense for the Giants, who Danny Dimes was their QB, and he's the next thing you know, it's Danny DeVito. Like what are we talking about? Like right. So all I'm saying is, it only has to make sense for one of these teams. So when I think about this, it's going to be somebody's going to get Cam. Okay. Somebody's going to get Shedeur. Okay. Somebody's going to get Sam Darnold. Okay. Somebody's going to get Justin Fields. Okay. Now what? Because like I said, there's 10 teams. It's not like it's just, I'm not saying that there's only a path for one of these teams to do it. I'm saying that it's going to make sense, because now I've got to make the decision. Do I want to bring in Quinn Ewers, or do I want to stay with Will Levis? Do I want to try to get Jackson Dart, or would I rather try Hendon Hooker? And now that team's off the table. So now it's Quinn Ewers or Hendon Hooker. That team's off the table. All right. Now it's Will Howard or Hendon Hooker. There's going to be somebody that's going to be the odd person out, and that person is going to be who Brad's going to call and do business with. And Hendon Hooker is going to get an opportunity. And I'll be honest, that guy has done nothing to make me not like him. I have no beef with him. When he leaves the Detroit Lions, I won't speak his name negatively. I just won't speak his name, right? But I'll have no beef with him. Hey, good luck to you, man. Except if you're playing the Detroit Lions, I want them to sacrifice you live at Ford Field. But outside of that, man, the dude's been stand up, and I think he can play some football. So if he was drafted in this draft, man, I think that at a minimum, worst case scenario, he's the number 3 quarterback coming off of the board. He's going before Jackson Dart. So would that be a pick in the top? What are we talking about? 100 and whatever picks, 100. I forget. So what? Oh, it even like so in the top 96, we'll say. Would it be in the top 96 picks, top 100 picks? I believe so. Hendon Hooker will go. He did it. We did it. We were rebuilding our team, and we still took him at pick 68. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I think he's definitely – people keep talking about this Teddy Bridgewater situation, and I completely disagree with the Teddy Bridgewater situation. If it's me and I'm thinking, hey, man, I need emergency surgery, do I want this rookie doctor who's supposed to be really good that's never done the surgery, or do I want the veteran doctor that's done the surgery a million times? All right, so we are in a playoff game where we're down and pressure is high. Do I want to throw in Hendon Hooker to figure out what he is right now, or do I want to throw in somebody who's been in the trenches, tried and true? I'll go with Teddy Bridgewater. Doesn't mean I think that he's got more potential. Doesn't mean I think that he's got the shorter tooth, so to speak. That's analogy that's been going on or going around lately. It's just that moment was a Teddy Bridgewater moment. That's who you go with in that moment. Right? If I need you to throw you in a playoff game, I'm not going to throw a guy who has 0 NFL experience. Doesn't mean the Lions think that Hendon Hooker sucks. And that's not you, Steve. That's Twitter. I've seeing people, the Woodwards talked about, oh man, this goes to show you that the Lions don't believe in Hendon. No, man. I'm just not going to throw my quarterback who has no NFL experience into a playoff game. That would be silly to me. I'm going to put in a veteran quarterback who's been to the playoffs. Teddy B, go do the thing.
Was Teddy Bridgewater the seasoned doctor in that scenario?
He was.
The seasoned doctor who was at Augusta National for 11 months playing golf and then got called back to the operating room, essentially?
Still want him. I still would rather have him do the surgery than some dude who's never done it before. Period.
Maybe technology's changed. Maybe he's out of date with the scalpel. Maybe he doesn't know how to read an X-ray anymore. Maybe he's been so focused on golf and that backswing and keeping that club face closed that he forgot how to lead a team to victory, because we still lost that game. And I'm not saying it was Teddy's fault, but you had a guy in your locker room that was there in the trenches with you all season. And the Detroit Lions coaching staff trusted a guy that was out there coaching high school football rather than a guy that's been in their own room. I think that speaks a lot more louder than a lot of people say, because Hendon Hooker was there all preseason. He did the whole preseason camp. We can call him a rookie, even though he wasn't. He got half a season as a rookie, and then he got a whole season this past year. Times got tough. Jared Goff got banged up, and he came in. He came into the game and sat on the bench for the whole game, and he had to go watch Father Time, Teddy Bridgewater, with 2 broken knees, who almost got physically retired when his kneecap was popping out of his shin bone a couple years ago, and was coaching high school football in the past. They called him in over me. If I'm Hendon Hooker, I'm saying, man, I guess this team doesn't trust me. Let me get up out of town. Let me go somewhere and get some reps and play it, because I'm not getting any younger.
See, but I feel like it's got to be one way or another, because earlier you said that none of those reps mattered when we were talking about Jalen Milroe. You said he's not going to get better by practicing and just being around the team and holding a clipboard. Essentially, that's what Hendon Hooker is.
He's not going to get better.
Okay, so why are we talking about putting Hendon Hooker in the football game if all he's been doing is holding his clipboards and practicing?
Let's see what he's got. That was his chance.
But why would I see what he's got when I have a guy right next to him who is a veteran who's actually done more than hold clipboards, is all I'm saying. That's just me, man. I don't think it's as big of a deal as people think it is, man. It's just, I have a veteran quarterback who's tried and true. I need him to step into that moment. No different than Dan Campbell said at the podium. He said, listen, if Jared Goff was to go down during the regular season, Hendon Hooker is coming in. Right. And I've never seen Coach Campbell lie at the podium. Now he's
that was the truth until it wasn't, until Teddy Bridgewater came back to town.
He said it when Teddy Bridgewater was back. But I think once we got into the postseason, a postseason moment, now it's got to be Teddy Bridgewater because it just makes sense to me. Like, but I've been wrong before. I can be wrong again.
I got a million times you've been wrong. We do a 38-day live stream. There's not enough time in the day. We'd be here till, I don't know, the Lions win a Super Bowl, whenever that might be. I don't know. I might run out of information then.
Next season.
Anything else for tonight?
No, man. Put it in the comments. Let me know how you guys are feeling, man. But just to comment on what everybody's gonna say. No, I'm not in love with Jalen Milroe. No, I don't hate Hendon Hooker. No, I'm not trying to rush Jared Goff out of town and find the next quarterback. So there's that.
Will's basically saying that the Detroit Lions are going to trade Hendon Hooker for Myles Garrett straight up. Stick around, hit that like button. We'll be back later with another show.
Peace.